Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Austin Spangler, who will be fighting on Synergy FC number 13. Hello, Austin. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Austin, we are just few days away from your pro debut. So, if you can tell me, how do you feel? How do you feel before this huge moment?
I feel awesome, man. I got some great guys in the room working with me. 4 or 5 different guys in the UFC, and my coach is obviously a very talented UFC fighter himself. And I've just been working really hard. My cardio feels great. I'm ready to push a pace that I don't think he's going to be ready for, and it makes me excited to fight.
And do you know anything about your opponent? It will be Tony Grant, but do you have any chance to see any footage of his fights?
Yes, sir. I've seen some film of a couple of his MMA fights, and then he had a pro boxing fight as well. He's got solid wrestling. Obviously, his boxing is decent. You know, he's got some hands, good takedowns, good ground and pound. But I'm a pretty good wrestler myself. I've never really been hit too much, so I think I'm just gonna go out there and work him.
And he seems to be a quite solid finisher. Even as the amateur, he had a lot of finishes. So I think that because of this, it will be a great fight.
Yes, sir. I mean, he's definitely got his own exciting style of fighting, and I hope he brings it, and I hope we can both come trying to get a finish and put on a good fight. But I'm confident in my skills, and I think I'm going to get him out of there.
And you of course had yourself like a lot of submissions, but are you prepared for 15 minutes fight?
Yes, sir. I mean, I've been getting a lot of extra rounds in. We usually have a 15-round open mat on Saturday, and I'll do 15 rounds straight of no-gi grappling, which is much more cardio intensive than just MMA. So my cardio feels great. I'm ready for this 15 minutes. I'm going to put on a pace that I don't know if he's going to want to go with me for 15 minutes. And, if it goes that long, it goes that long. I'm pushing the pace bell to bell.
But of course, you fought also a lot of tough opponents as the amateur. So you are not just a fighter who is making his pro debut, but you are actually one of the, or even top one fighter in lightweight division in the US.
I honestly didn't know that if I am, but I'm not really worried about a ranking. I'm confident in my skills. I think I can beat anyone, and pro's another level I'm excited to display my skills at and see what I can do.
And you also were scheduled to fight in March in as the your pro debut. And if you can tell me what happened with this fight.
My opponent pulled out about a week beforehand. They looked for a couple of late replacements, but they couldn't get anybody to fill in. It's a problem I've had before. I'm kind of used to it. I've had quite a few fights fall through. If you look at my Tapology record, I've got 5 or 6 cancellations on there. So it was just some adversity, but I stayed in the gym, been working hard, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to go out now. My opponent came. Hopefully he stays throughout the whole week. If he pulls out as well, then I might be very disappointed, but I think he's going to make it. So I think we get to do it this time, and I'm excited for it.
This is probably a big problem for fighters to have the like few days away the situation that the fighter is like it is like he's injured or there is some other problem and the fight is off.
Yes, it is frustrating, and I don't know if he was injured. I don't know what happened. I never got any of that information. I just know he wasn't going to be able to fight, and I was expecting to make a little bit of money, get paid something. My ticket sales are usually pretty good, so it would have been a good opportunity to get some money and get a fight in there. Get a win. But it is what it is. Got to move on. Got to work with what I have to work with, and so I'm gonna go get a finish June 1st, and that should answer the questions that need to be answered.
Do you have more fights on the contract with Synergy FC?
No, they're pretty. I've never had a contract through them for more than one fight. I don't know that anyone on my team has either. I don't know if they do that, but if they did, I wouldn't mind. fighting for a contract. But it'd be kind of cool to work my way up, honestly, and try to get, 4 or 5 fights, work my way onto a contender series fight or something.
If you can tell me more about the gym that right now you are training in and your sparring partners, what is the main gym that you are training in?
I train at Marathon MMA. It's located in Overland Park, Kansas. My head coach is Trey Ogden. Also, we have some UFC guys. 2 of our guys fighting on the June 15 card, Miles Johns and Garrett Armfield. Check them out. 2 guys that I get to work with a lot. We also Zach Scroggin. He just had a good finish over at FAC. Very impressive performance to win their 170-pound pro title. Moved to 7-0. So, we got a lot of really good guys coming out, high-level gym, and I'm proud to be a part of them, and I'm honored to be a part of them.
I think that it is like good mix of like young prospects, young hungry prospects, and veterans who knows like almost everything about this game.
Yes, sir. We have, I believe, 9 amateurs on the card as well as me, or 8 amateurs on the card as well as my pro fights. So we have a lot of really good amateurs up and coming. A lot of undefeated amateurs about to make their pro debuts as well. So, if you see guys from Marathon, check them out. Bunch of savages.
Watching your fights, it's obvious that you are a very good grappler. But what's like first combat sport that you ever train?
So I was a wrestler. My dad was a fighter when I was a kid, so I was kind of around jiu-jitsu, trained it a little when I was, 4 to 6 years old. But once I moved to Kansas, I started wrestling about 10 or 11 and did that all the way up through a semester of junior college, and that's when I transitioned over to MMA.
And when did you know that like MMA career will be good for you?
I honestly just was always a fan of the sport and wanted to try it. I just called my gym one day and was like, "Hey, do you guys have fighters out of there?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Can I come train?" He was like, "Yeah, sure, come try a class." So I just went and tried a class and fell in love with it the first day. Thought, can't wrestle anymore, but I love the competition. I love just the technical side of trying to perfect my craft and get better every day. And so, I love the sport just as much as I loved wrestling, and it was a great transition over into something else from one thing to another. It just worked out well. Started when I was 18, so right out of high school. Yeah.
I think that is like great thing that something like this exists, like MMA, because a lot of like wrestlers can go and like use their skills in this area. Because if the MMA wouldn't existed, the probably many of them would need to like do something else, like not combat sport related. But now here in MMA they can use their skills, and this is probably one. Maybe even the best area to have.
I mean, yes, sir. As a wrestler, there's just not nearly as much opportunity either. I mean, unless you're the best guy in the country on the Olympic team or the world team, and you happen to not be injured that time of year and everything works out right, you can wrestle. But aside from that, it's a pretty hard thing to get into and really get to that level. But MMA is something that, like, if you work hard, a lot of people can take their skills in. You can take those wrestling skills, or guys who have good grappling or striking can take those skills and have something else to put it, another avenue, maybe, a bigger platform to show what they can do.
And as the fighter, you have a like very aggressive approach on the ground, like trying to get submissions, like you have a quick armbar win, for example. And what belt are you in the BJJ?
So I've primarily only done no gi BJJ. I actually started in the gi about a month ago, maybe 2. So hopefully I'll be getting moved up in belts at some point soon. But as of right now, I've never really done any grappling tournaments. Don't have any official rank. I just have a lot of good training partners that are really good grapplers that have made me a lot better.
But also the I think that John Jones was for at least for many years a white belt, and at that point he submitted black belts in MMA. So the rank in BJJ is not really like super connected with the like your skills in grappling skills in MMA.
Yes, sir. And I think even in Nogi, I have very good grappling skills. I think it'd be fun to do a match against a high level Nogi guy, but yeah, I'm just not worried about a belt. I'm worried about getting better and being able to compete with everybody, but I don't need a colored belt or something like that to make me want to get better or try to challenge guys who are good, you know. I mean, if I can compete with them, there's no reason I shouldn't be trying to get better and continue to compete with higher level guys and work my way up inside the room, and then maybe, you know, someday if I could grapple somebody pretty good, that'd be kind of fun. See what I could do. But hopefully I'll be getting a belt one of these days and not have to be a white belt forever.
And right now you are a very young fighter, but also you are a very tall fighter for lightweight division. And did you think that in a few years you will go to welterweight?
I mean, maybe if I get a little bigger. I'm not a very heavy guy overall. I sit pretty lean most of the time. I have pretty high metabolic rates. So I walk around 167, 168 pounds. If anything, I'm the size of a lot of featherweights, but I'm kind of skinny. So I hang out at lightweight. But unless I gain a pretty good amount of weight, I'd have to gain 20 or 30 pounds to really be the size of a welterweight to really be worth moving up. I'm already kind of small at lightweight, weight wise. A lot of guys are a little bit bigger than me already, but I'm not really worried about it. Just, you know, if I'm going to be 168 pounds on the scale, there's no reason to fight at welterweight.
But of course, when you are told you have a and you have a longer reach, you can have the like very specific style for the division. So you can like use your like elbows, knees, and fight. You can fight in the distance that your opponent can't hit you. So I think that it's also like a very good like even a tool to have, because you have to use it correctly.
Yes, sir. I mean, reach can be an advantage or a disadvantage. There's times when, you know, I'll be sparring with the high level guys in my gym and I'll get a little too stretched out and they'll make me pay for it. So you definitely have to know how to use it. But once you kind of figure out where your range is at, it is a very useful thing to have and something I really have been able to use well in a lot of my fights to give me advantage. But you know, if I could gain some weight, maybe someday I'll put on some weight, try to fight welterweights. I'm not afraid to fight a bigger guy. I just don't really weigh that much. So yeah, maybe one day I'd like to fight those guys, but got to put on some weight first.
And having the experience that you have right now, what do you think is the like area that you have to improve the most?
That's a good question. I definitely feel like there's a lot of areas that I can improve on. I mean, I feel like there's always areas that everybody can improve upon. Obviously, my striking in one of my fights, the fight that I lost, you know, a little striking defense, dropping my left hand a little too much got me in trouble. So I had to correct that. But I've been able to stay out of the way of the right hand ever since. And you know, sometimes I get my back taken. I think I could be a little more disciplined about trying to go to technical jujitsu stand up versus giving my back to stand up on the cage or something like that. It's probably something I could do a little better, but then it gets me out a lot of the time and it is an effective way to escape. So I think I'm just trying to improve everything and I like to continue to grow my overall game. I'd like to improve my boxing, my kickboxing, my grappling, and just try to gap everybody and everything eventually. I'd like to be as good in every area as I am in my best area.
And because of you are a young fighter, you probably have a lot of like dreams, big goals in fighting. And what is like the biggest dream that you have in MMA?
I mean, you know, I'd love to someday be one of the guys that fights in the UFC, win a belt like that. Like that's everybody's dream when they get into fighting. And I'd be lying if I said that wasn't my dream too, to win a UFC title someday. And you know, maybe it won't happen, but that's definitely the goal. And I'm gonna work hard. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll be able to tell my kids I did my best and I gave everything I had. I didn't quit on myself. I believed in myself until I couldn't go anymore. So at least then it'll still be something I can live with when I have to retire.
This is probably the most important thing, that you have a goal and you try to achieve it. Of course, not everybody will be a like champion or like on the like Mount Rushmore of MMA, but you can still like do many great things, including going to the UFC, winning fights there, winning like bonuses and money there. So there are a lot of things to achieve in the game.
Yes, sir. I mean, and you can never be one of those guys on that Mount Rushmore if you don't at least at some point believe that you can try. If you don't at least believe in yourself to the point that you're willing to back yourself up and go try, then you shouldn't be there anyway.
And who do you think is like the best ever, the GOAT of MMA?
I gotta go with GSP. I mean, if you look at the title wins, if you look at how long he reigned, he beat everyone. I mean, the only two guys that beat him, he avenged both losses twice. Um, yeah, I mean, GSP, in my opinion, number one ever, no doubt.
And of course, he had this like a very cool attitude. He seems to be a like really cool person, not doing a lot of trash talk or even at all, and still fans like loved him. So it's like a very rare thing in this sport.
Yes, sir. I mean, he was a very inspiring person to watch too. He was somebody I grew up watching. So I will say I did have a bit of a personal bias. He was one of my favorite fighters for a long time, especially as a wrestler, somebody who was karate guy, came in and took wrestling and used it to dominate at a high level for a long time. That was pretty impressive, seeing somebody who'd never done it come in and take wrestling and use it for the back half of his career and just win every fight with it. It's a hard thing to learn as an adult.
And when you are thinking about your career, your future, do you have a fighter in the UFC that you would like to face at any point?
I mean, the odd thing right now is a lot of the top guys are all getting kind of older, and so it looks like it's going to be a changing of guard in a lot of divisions pretty soon. And lightweight seems to be one of those divisions. I know there's some good guys coming into the UFC, but with the guard changing right now and everything, I don't really know who I'd like to fight up there. I'm worried about just taking these fights that I can get now, beat everybody they put in front of me, and then when they start putting those guys in front of me, I'll worry about them one at a time, take them out.
And in your next fight after this, do you have a like preference, like who do you like to be your opponent? I mean, not the name, but maybe the style, maybe the record that your opponent can present?
Well, I have a name I'd like to fight. I don't know if I'll get him after this one, but me and Ray Hayes had a fight. He's the guy who beat me as an amateur, and I will say I was not content with that performance. I felt like I got caught a little bit, so I'd like to go out there and I'd like to go get that one back. I think we run it back, I can get him. So I'm definitely looking for that fight again pretty soon.
And he's also like a very very good fighter, very very talented, and I believe he's like 4-0 as the pro. So also
Yes, sir.
it would be a huge rematch, definitely.
Yes, sir. And I mean, I might have to get a couple more wins, but maybe down the line he's 5-6-0. I'm 4-5-0. We can run it back, and we can get rid of one of these professional zeros like we did as amateurs. So that'd be pretty cool.
And probably because the fight was super short, it's like the bad taste in your mouth that it was so quick. It wasn't like 9 minute 3 rounder 3 round battle, but it was so quick. So probably always with you, if you lost in this kind of style, it's like, oh, I can do so many better things in the fight.
Yes, sir. I mean, I felt like I didn't even have a chance to get started. I mean, I made a mistake. I dropped my left hand a little bit when I threw my low kick, but then he hit me and I decided to shoot knowing he had a good guillotine. I probably shouldn't have shot right there, especially after just getting hit. I wasn't too hurt, but um, yeah, it was just I felt like that was a mistake to shoot right there and he got the guillotine, but he's got so many guys in that front choke that I should have been ready for it. And in my last few fights, I've had a bunch of guys try to hit it on me. I've corrected my defense to it. So, yeah, I like to go try to run that one back.
And in the let's say 2 or 3 years, if you will get a contract from other organization, not UFC, so maybe Bellator if it still exists, or PFL one, would you be also interested in taking this, or you would prefer to stay on the regional scene a little bit longer just to take the like UFC road?
I wouldn't mind fighting for one. I kind of like the rule set with the knees to the head on the ground, the kicks, just a little more free rule set. Don't have to worry quite so much about getting getting fouls and stuff like that. But yeah, and I think that would add an interesting dynamic, be a lot more like a real fight. You're on the ground, you can knee a guy, kick a guy. So that one would be kind of fun. Um, PFL, Bellator, I don't know how much I really think they'll be around in a few years. I don't know. They seem to be having trouble with money after that purchase. So I guess if they're here, maybe it'd be cool. But I'd probably much rather fight for the UFC than PFL or Bellator. ONE FC would be cool too, though, just because the rule set sounds really fun.
Yes, and people like the rule set of one, and also the like ability to possibility to fight in like grappling matches like Muay Thai. So there are a lot of like different sports in one organization.
Yes, sir. And that's another thing that I do like that they do. They have sometimes the grappling matches, the kickboxing, the Muay Thai, the MMA. They let guys transfer over between sports. If I wanted to go do a grappling match, they'd let me. But if I wanted to go do a kickboxing match, they'd let me. And that's a pretty cool prospect too. Just the freedom to transfer between sports within one organization. You're making your contractual money, whatever sport you're doing. That's a pretty big opportunity for fighters and grapplers and kickboxers to kind of go across sports, and I think it's pretty awesome. I think I like what they're doing over there.
Actually, like right now in combat sports, there are a lot of different like sports, because there is like bare knuckle, there is karate combat, there are some grappling tournaments with also a different kind of rule sets. So I think that it's good thing that overall combat sport is like very like improve. Let's say that there are a lot of sports in the combat sport area.
Yes, sir. And I think right now combat sports is definitely like gotten a lot more exposure in probably the past 4 or 5 years than it had ever before, which is pretty cool to see because you're right. I mean, there's a lot of organizations, even Karate Combat having some jujitsu matches over there in their pit with Craig Jones versus I don't remember who he was grappling, but they've had some grappling, they've had their Karate Combat. They have their own thing. The bare knuckles doing really well. Everybody loves Mike Perry, obviously. That dude's awesome. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see everything in combat sports blowing up and really getting a big push in the media, and everybody's kind of loving it right now. It's pretty cool as a fighter to see.
And if it's a like dream world, but if you can take one skill from any fighter in the even history of combat sport, what kind of tool would you like to add to your current skill set?
Just because of being MMA being such a boxing heavy striking style most of the time for most guys, I think having maybe taking someone like I don't even know, someone like Bukau or some Muay Thai fighter with really good knees and elbows in the clinch, and kind of adding that as a tall guy to my game, but like really just being able to have the skills of those best Muay Thai fighters. I think that'd be probably one of the most useful things I could have right now. And probably something I've will continue to add to my game and that I've been working on recently, because I feel like as a tall guy, you know, the knees, the elbows, and the clinch, being able to control the inside and the outside would be a very useful tool.
Yes, and maybe your pro debut, it will be your first knockout of your career.
Yes, sir. I mean, you know, I've been working my striking a lot, and I'll probably be doing some more striking. Even my last amateur fight, most of the first 2 rounds, I was striking more than wrestling. So, you know, I've been feeling good. I'm probably not going to put myself in an extra amount of danger just to show off and get a knockout. But you know, if it's there, I'll definitely take it. Or if I have to take another route to victory, I will. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I knocked him out.
I have a few questions outside of MMA. When you are outside of training camp, let's say after the fight, do you have a favorite way to spend your time? Like maybe do you have like any hobby or passion?
So I have young daughters, 2 young daughters, and I like to take them fishing a lot. That's something we do, or just take them to the park or take them to the lake. A lot of the times, on the weekends or when I'm at home after work or not training, that's usually what I do. I try to go do something with them, or we'll take the dogs on a walk or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have much else I really like to do outside of spending time with them and taking them to enjoy things I enjoy.
Yes, with 2 daughters, you are probably super busy enough.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They keep me on my toes.
And if you were not a MMA fighter, who do you think you would you be?
So I also work a day job. I'm an appliance repair technician, so I would probably still do this if I wasn't fighting. I fix people's appliances, just in-home repairs, as a service technician for a company. So probably just do this if I wasn't fighting, but yeah, I enjoy fighting, so hopefully I won't have to do this someday.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
And if you like were guaranteed an answer to one question, so you are asking one question, and you can get one correct answer from, let's say, world, what kind of question would you like to ask?
You know, I'm a bit of an overthinker on questions like that, so that's kind of a hard one for me. I probably would be something along the lines of the nature of existence, and like, you know, if just to see like the I guess the nature of the universe, or you know, why we're here. Be, you know, maybe I'm too deep of a thinker into that, but if I could get any answer, that may as well be the one.
Yes, you definitely need to use this chance to ask correct question.
Okay, man, I don't even know. I just kind of like to know. Yeah, I have no idea, man. That's a bit of a question I can't answer. I'm sorry.
No.
I guess I'd like to know if people I've lost are at peace, or if there's somewhere they've gone beyond that they could be at peace. I've lost a lot of people in my life, so I guess just to know they were all at peace would be what I wanted to know.
Okay, Austin. So many thanks for the time and for the conversation. I hope that your pro debut will be as exciting as your amateur bouts, and we can see you in the cage really soon. Maybe even like twice more this year.
Yes, sir. I mean, I'm hoping so. I'd like to fight 3, 4 times this year. That'd be the goal. But you know, that doesn't always work out, people pulling out and things like that. But thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and talk to you. So it's an honor to be invited to something like this, and I really appreciate the opportunity.